We are live. We are also direct with productivity and coach and speaker Cindy Baker, who is the recognized leader when it comes to the field of productivity and ADHD coaching. She helps people to cut through the noise, boost productivity, and build their fortunes. In this age of AI, Claude, distractions, notifications, and pings, people hire Cindy to cut through the noise in order to create powerful prioritization techniques, and she's mastered the art of focus without decision fatigue. Welcome to She Leads, She Sells, Cindy Baker, fit as a fiddle. She's run about 3 miles this morning, so she's ready and in gear. How productive is she?
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Good to be here.
Amazing. Tell me, who's an ideal client for you and what makes them ideal?
So the ideal client would be someone who's already high achieving, but they are feeling like they're going to burn out eventually if they keep the pace. They're struggling with focus. They feel like they're behind all the time, even though they're working a lot. And the reason that's ideal is that if they're already producing and high achieving, then they're going to get results. They just need, some of them even already know a lot of things in their head, but they just need the structure to make that fit into their life. And they need the support and the accountability to make it happen. And then once they learn how to build those habits on their own, they can go without me.
Here we are. That's the scenario. Thank you for sharing. So it's a generally corporate high achievers, or are they a coach?
I've helped a variety of people. I mean, some people are not even working now. They're retired, but they're busy. And some are, I work with a lot of entrepreneurs that have ADHD. So that's kind of how I got started. And then I branched out. It's interesting. I learned that the ADHD friendly strategies that I was teaching work with anybody that has what I call a busy brain. So, but there are a lot of entrepreneurs who've been diagnosed with ADHD or just self-diagnosed. And um, so that's a lot. But so they're not all corporate, they're all different. Some work a 9 to 5, some are retired, some are, just anybody that's needs that structure and that support.
Amazing. Love your website, like very detailed. Love the imagery on there. Well created. How are you getting visible to your target market so they know that you exist? I've seen your Facebook page as well. Yeah, how are you getting visible?
Yeah, of course, social media, being on podcasts, the book. And my new thing is I've started a Substack,
Oh,
which I
wow.
guess is also social media. But the difference with the Substack is that that's a place where I'm also kind of weaving in some of my faith. And so, um, whereas in the other places, I'm just talking about productivity. In the Substack articles, I'm also mentioning here and there what scripture has to say about time management or things like that. And so that's kind of appealing to a different audience. Um, but I do speaking as well. And that's one of the things I really enjoy, lead workshops in person and online, and do some keynote speaking. Not big audiences yet, but I'm gonna get there.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Sales. I mean, if this is She Leads, She Sells, for me, sales is service.
Yes.
Sales is energy transference. So when I speak to my people who I work with, I say, be limitless. Because if you are limitless, that's going to transfer onto your prospects.
Yeah.
For you, what does sales mean, and how do you enroll high ticket clients?
Yeah, it's interesting that you said sales is service because I agree with that. And that's why I think mindset is so important when it comes to sales because, um, if we don't believe in our product or our service, then we're not going to be able to sell it. And so I know that I can help people. And I've always been in helping professions. Before I was in business, first I started in youth ministry. And then I was in education for 19 years. So I was a school counselor and a middle school teacher. And so I'm just used to helping people. And when I was in youth ministry, I worked for a nonprofit and it involved fundraising. And so that was sales, and I would just tell people about what was going on with the kids and how we were helping them. And, I personally myself gave to the charity. So it was something I believed in. And it was just easy because I was telling stories, and asking them to be a part of it. So that kind of carried over to business. So I tell stories, ask questions, I listen, and if I think I can help them, I let them know how. So many people are afraid of sales because they've had bad experiences. Um, but if you see it, like you said, in service, then it's not scary. It's just inviting someone to come alongside and learn how to do things a different way. Investing in themselves, I always say. So you're not buying a product, you're investing in yourself, and the return on investment's there because you learn how to manage your time, how to organize your money better, all of that.
Yeah. Tell me, what do you want to achieve in the last half of the year? Is there a goal? Like, what do you want to do in your business in the last half of the year?
Yeah, I'd like to expand a little bit, invest in ads, and right now I don't have a VA, so I'd like to get a VA and um, kind of offload some of the things that somebody else could do, and spend more time really serving the people who are my clients and working on getting more. So, um, so yeah,
Amazing. I like your clarity of thought. I taught high school for 10 years. In
yeah,
Japan and London, I was teaching high schools.
there you
Uh,
go.
and so I think what the key thing is, people really want clarity in 2026. They don't want to watch 55 videos
Hmm.
to understand something. It's short, sharp. Let me
Yeah,
understand it. Let me unravel it really, really, really quickly here.
yeah,
So,
and I think they want personal interaction too, because everything is so fake and AI now, um, and so I've changed my programs a little bit to be less recorded, self-paced stuff and more of me. It takes more of my time, but that's what people need and that's what they want. And I'm very open and real with them. You know, uh, I mean, the other day I was on Zoom, and so I had a fake background, and it looks like this beautiful living room, and people were like, "Oh, I love your living room." Well, a lot of people would just say, "Oh, thank you." But I said, "You know what? It's fake." And I took the filter off and I was like, "This is the real background." I'm just I just want people to uh, relate to being real. I think that's what people are thirsting for right now.
amazing. Have you dug into this book?
I have not.
Have you heard about this book?
It does. Yes, I have heard about it.
Yeah, I think it's one of the great ones. I mean, my biggest takeaway from this book, I'm rereading this now, is creating impossible goals. So it's like
Yeah.
if your goal's 10K a month times 10, 100K, because it
Mm,
gives fewer paths to get to the 100K. And so you'll hit the 10K by default.
mm.
I guess my question to you is, what book are you currently reading or podcast, or could be anything? And is there a takeaway that you can share with us from it?
Well, I'm about to read. Oh, I don't have it with me. I'm
No
about to
worries.
read John Lee's new book on making money. So I'm looking forward to that. But right now I'm reading Kelly Roach,
Oh,
Conviction Marketing.
wow.
And she just came out with a new one called The Miracle Hour.
Milk Hour, yeah. Yeah.
I just listened to that audio. And in fact, I'm going to a Substack training with her tomorrow. And so I learn a lot from her. I think she's one of the people that, even though she makes a lot of money, she's very open and real with people, down to earth, approachable. So I appreciate that. Um,
Yeah. I think her miracle hour is a great element of connecting with people who have bought from you before.
yeah. Yeah, and I was
First,
gonna say that
starting there,
was the takeaway.
clients,
Mhm.
because there's always ways in which we can add value. So definitely a powerful element there.
Yeah, I'd
Thanks
say
for
that's the
sharing. And it's
biggest
so
takeaway is just to look at, your warm audience, the people who've already responded. I do a free live masterclass almost every week. In fact, today I'm doing an encore of the one I did Tuesday. And I'm gonna go back through and see, uh, look into all the people who've attended or registered in the past and try to follow up with them. Because even if they didn't buy, they were interested in the topic, and so maybe there's a way I could help them. So yeah, definitely, we spend so many time trying to go out and get new leads, and sometimes we forget about the people who have raised a hand and said, "I'm interested." So follow up, I think, is one of the things that I was a big takeaway from that.
what strikes me about you is that you are a woman that Carol Dweck would be very happy with. Growth mindset, continually
Yeah.
growing and never resting on your laurels. And we want to give thanks for you, Cindy, for being a woman who, is continually growing. Because sometimes some people say, hey, look, it didn't work out with me for that mentor. I'm not investing anymore. I'm not investing. And
Mhm.
rather than saying, hey, I'm going to invest more wisely, or hey, I'm going to, be more discerning, but it's like, oh, okay, I'm not investing anymore. We
Yeah,
know that we're in the world, but we have to
mhm.
learn the new skills. Otherwise we become obsolete.
Yeah, and it's not just coaches, but our clients too have, there's a term trust recession, where people during the pandemic all bought these online things and spent, you know, thousands of dollars on coaching programs, especially for business coaching. And then they didn't get the results they wanted and they got burned. And so they're very reluctant to trust or invest, like you said. Um, but like you said, you can't say, "Well, this didn't work, so none of them are gonna work." I mean, that's like saying, for to a young person who's starting to date, "Well, I had a bad date, so I'm just never gonna date again." I mean, that's crazy, you know? So yeah, I'm always learning. I just, got back from a conference where John Maxwell was the keynote
Yes.
speaker, and, it costs money, but it was great. The connections that I made, people that I can keep up with, so you do have to take risks, um, and you have to keep learning.
100%. That
Mhm.
makes total sense. I know when I started to coach females and I stepped into the female helping females scene, I thought, why would they listen to a black guy from the UK? Why? It's the women helping women scene. Like, what the hell am I doing here?
Yeah,
Is what I thought. But then I tapped into what I could help with. How could I be of service? And so I stopped thinking about my skin color and my gender. And I started to think about the color of results. And the color of results is universal. And so it's
that's
like,
right.
how could I help people? And so that's what helped me overcome that imposter syndrome that I suffered for a few months.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about anything that comes into your mind from time to time. Of course, we have 70,000 thoughts a day. And of course, not all of them are going to be, the most positive. So what limits you and how do you overcome?
Yeah, I think imposter syndrome is real. I think people have, a problem sometimes when they are first starting out in business and they look at all these successful people and they compare their chapter 1 with somebody else's chapter 10, you know, and they
Hmm.
don't, or they're not willing to do all of the work that that person did to get to where they are, and they wanna just immediately get there. And it is a process, and I started this so late in life that sometimes I get impatient and I'm thinking, well, I don't have 20 years to grow my business. I'm already retirement age, so um, uh, being patient and being careful about the comparison game. And you mentioned race. I mean, I'm from Memphis. The population is over 50% African American, and there's a lot of racial divide here and history and all of that. And I go to a big mega church. The senior pastor is African American, and when he moved here from Texas to take that position, that was a big risk for him, and I think he felt some of the same things you're feeling, like, "Well, what are this is a majority white church. What are they gonna they're not gonna listen to me," and just the racial diversity in our church is good, but it's also a challenge sometimes,
Mhm.
especially during a political election year. You got people who believe different things, but we all have certain things in common, and that's why we're all at that same place. And so I think with coaching, it's the same way. You got all these people with different backgrounds and different needs, but they all have the common pain points and the common reasons that they came into the coaching. So, I always try to remind them of that, and try to gear the discussion away from things that are too controversial. For instance, I mentioned my faith, and but I had an atheist go through my program, a Jewish person, men and women, so obviously they feel comfortable, and that's the environment that we need to create, where it doesn't matter what your background is, that you're all here to get help and um, come out stronger on the other end. And I think that's important. So I don't know if that really answered your question. I
No,
sort
it
of
did.
ran, but
It did. No, it did answer the question very well, actually. No, thank you for sharing that. What do you want to be remembered for on Earth?
oh wow, I think just kind of not so much just in business, but my life overall. At the end of my life, I would like people to know that I loved God and I loved people.
Wow.
That's it.
Mm,
I mean, whether I made money or not, all that, people don't care.
mm.
But you know how they say people don't care how much you know,
How
and
you made them feel.
yeah, how you make them feel or something like that. So I think that's the most important. And going back to imposter syndrome, you can't really love and serve others unless you have self-confidence in yourself. And so that's an area that I'm constantly growing in. I don't have a business background. And so many times I'm thinking, well, I don't really know what I'm doing, but I do know what I'm doing. We just, like I said, compare ourselves to somebody who's been doing it for 30 years, and I think if we're just honest, if we just tell people, that's a great question. I'm not sure. Let me look that up and I'll get back to you. Just be honest.
Amazing. Let them know how they can get in contact with you and who specifically you're looking to serve.
Yeah, especially entrepreneurs with ADHD, but any professional that needs help with focus. In fact, I have a free little mini course on how to beat procrastination. So I'll give that to your listeners. They just go to waitnomore.net, waitnomore.net. And I'll give you that link you can put in the show notes.
Yeah,
Um,
I'll put that in the notes or
yeah.
send me through a message with
So
that.
that will put them on my email list, and I send a weekly newsletter with tips and strategies, and if they want to communicate with me, they just hit reply, and it's me. It's not a bot. I will really read the reply and personally respond. So there are a lot of people who reach out that way. And of course,
Amazing.
social media, website, all that stuff is there too. But just to keep it simple, waitnomore.net.
Perfect. Thank you ever so much for blessing
You're
us. I really
welcome.
like your calmness and your heart to serve. I think is a wonderful thing. So, definitely appreciate you and thank
Yeah.
you for your time today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It was good talking with you.
No worries. She leads, she sells. Cindy Baker in the building. Thank you all for listening. And that's a wrap. Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you.